Hey, it's Abby from the Clay Kiosk, back today with another polymer clay tutorial. And today I'm going to show you guys how to create something a little bit unusual for myself. If you follow me on social media, you might know that I normally make reptile figurines. But today I wanted to do something completely different. I wanted to follow my passion and create a miniature diorama of a pizza parlor. This is something that's been on my mind for a while, and sometimes as an artist you just need to follow what you're feeling. So I'm going to show you today how you can create your own little version, and hopefully you'll pick up on some tips and tricks along the way. The first thing I'm going to do is just take some basic white and black acrylic paint and fill in the tiles I've created using a ruler and my pencil. It's really important here to start with the white paint because it's going to be a lot easier to go over the white with the black versus going over the black with the white. For the hardwoods, I'm going to stick mostly to a brown color palette. I've got a flesh colored paint as well as a couple beiges, and the first thing I'm going to do is just outline that floor inlay, and then I'm going to go back over it with the other colors. And the key here is just to have the different colored paints, make sure that they don't touch each other so that you have the correct pattern on the floor, because it does make a difference. You don't want to have the same color side by side because it's going to make the pattern on the floor look kind of funny. So that's why I think it's a good idea to use 3 or more colors when you're creating a hardwood floor like this. I really liked using the flesh colored paint here because I think it really adds to the traditional pizza parlor vibe that I'm going after. I'm also going to create 2 different strips here of just solid color to help break up the flooring. My plan here is to have kind of like a pizza buffet on one side and then just a walkway on the other. I'm also going to paint my sides with the red too. I wanted to paint the wood first so that I could use it as a template for the actual clay pieces. For this tutorial, I'm using this reddish brown by Sculpt. It's a really nice color that I think will fit well with what I'm trying to do. Normally I don't use Sculpt because it tends to be kind of fragile, but it's really great if you're building furniture or want to use it as armature for different figurines. I really like it in that aspect. I'll also be using these wood shapes that I got from Michaels. They're fairly small, but they come in all different sizes and shapes, and they're fairly inexpensive. You can also cut them, which is really great. I like the look that they have when you combine them with pre-baked clay. You can build some really cool furniture this way. Here I'm making a brick oven. The clay will act as the brick, and then the small wooden square will act as a metal sheet. I really like how each material brings a different texture to the table. When I was searching online for inspiration for this brick oven, I saw a lot of the same thing. This U-shaped oven that had a chimney stack that was square-shaped on top. So I've pieced all that out with clay, and then I've gone ahead and I've pre-baked it all at about 60 minutes at 230 degrees. I had to do a lot of pre-baking for this project, so in between all of that, I was able to create all of the tables and the chairs. For the tabletop, I just used small wooden circles, and then I glued that to some jewelry findings that I had. Together, it looks pretty decorative. You can also use this same technique to create miniature cake stands if you like making miniature food from clay. And the time it takes to make all the tables, I was able to bake my brick oven as well as the base of the pizza buffet line. And now I'm just going to disassemble those again and paint the wood silver before I reassemble it and glue it down for good. At this point it's really coming along, but it looked a little bit incomplete to me, so I added 1 more strip of clay just to have another counter in the kitchen. Everything is now in its most basic form, so I want to start adding the details. For the brick oven, I'm just going to use a pencil to outline the bricks themselves and then go over it with some white acrylic paint. I'm using my needle tool to paint as opposed to a brush because I want my lines to be very fine and straight. For For the chairs, I kept it pretty simple. I thought that using clay might be too fragile and labor intensive, so I actually just glued some small wooden circles together. I painted the seat red and then the back of the chair silver, and I'm also going to cut out some little clay circles that I can put underneath just to give the chairs some height. I only have 5 tables, but I ended up creating 12 chairs because I thought it might be kind of cool to add 2 chairs to the pizza buffet line, even though this really makes no sense at all. However, when I put them there, I realized that it really helps balance out the entire diorama, so I kept it. Of course, it can't really be a pizza parlor if there aren't miniature clay pizzas too, so I cut out 6 small circular shaped pieces of dough from some Sahara colored clay. I added a crust to those, gave them some texture, and then used chalk pastels to give it that baked look. And then I combined some red sculpty clay with a bunch of baby oil to create some liquid clay that I can use for the tomato paste. And then I went ahead and pre-baked this before I started to create the toppings from all different colors. For the peppers, I used a dark green. The olives, I used black, of course, and then the pepperoni is a mixture of purple and red. The important thing to note here is to keep your toppings extra small, otherwise they're going to look strange in proportion to the rest of your pizza. Texture goes a long ways here too. Even if you don't have the correct color that you need for each of the food pieces, you can still make it look pretty good by using a needle tool to add some dimples, kind of like I did with the pizza crust. Chalk pastels are also noteworthy. I used white and yellow, combined that with some liquid Sculpey, and added that to my pre-baked pizzas. I alternated the colors to give it kind of that greasy cheese feel that I was looking for. I purposely left some of the tomato paste showing around the edges, and then once I was done with that, I added the toppings that I created earlier. I did not pre-bake them, although you can before you add them to the cheese. My original plan for the pizza buffet counter was to simply lay the pizzas on top as is. However, I realized that it was kind of lacking, so I'm taking some wooden pieces, gluing them to the ends, and then I'm cutting out a film transparency to kind of act as the glass. When you go to a buffet, often the food is served under like a glass counter, so I wanted to recreate that with some projector films. I've also noticed that a lot of traditional or quaint pizza parlors will write out their menus each day on chalkboards, so I wanted to recreate this from clay as well. I cut out both pieces, painted on them, and then I glued them together to create my very own miniature chalkboard. Everything's finished, so I'm going to add some last minute details by adding a coat of glossy varnish to the tile floor, pizza buffet line, brick oven, tables, and chairs. And that's about it for today. I'm just now noticing that one of the chairs had fallen, so I apologize for that. Nonetheless, if you like this video, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. If you're inspired by today's tutorial, I would love to see your work. You can tag me at The Clay Kiosk on Instagram or use hashtag #TheClayKiosk. I'm on social media often. That's all for now, but I really hope to see you next week for another polymer clay tutorial. Take care.